Okay, chat, pick A or B, and then it's like crickets. You're like awkward. So yeah, I think
extensions launched using Revlo back in the day. But my users would purchase spawning monsters in Left 4 Dead, such as like a tank or a med kit, and I would fly around as a spectator in like a god mode and spawn these things on other streamers trying to survive a gauntlet that I was kind of curating. And that was a lot of fun, but it was an incredible amount of work on my side, kind of talking to Marcus' point, where I basically had like 4 spreadsheets on my right of like what everyone was purchasing, what the keybinds were on my keyboard. I had to make macro commands for every single spawn. I had to like go run ahead of the level and spawn it so that it wouldn't spawn, right in front of someone's face. And all that stuff could be simplified by working, integrating with an extension. But yeah, I think most of my stuff has generally been like around specific content, or so that way I can pitch to chat what they have to do each time, rather than changing the culture of my entire stream.
Great.
Yeah, so I started out when Streamlabs, I mean, I think everybody's kind of an extension started out. I jumped on Streamlabs because it was a known and trusted brand at that point. And I think that's at the core of what I feel is maybe wrong with extensions, is not actually necessarily the extensions, but how instead they are introduced to streamers. I don't know the numbers, but just hearing us, I feel like the brands that are much more known, Streamlabs, Muxy, Stream Elements, I feel like those are going to be the extensions that are more widely used, not even because they're good extensions, because everyone has their ups and downs, but because they're known and trusted. They're already, part of my stream. So that's the thing, is like, I'm just comfortable with my extensions now, and I actually didn't even know there was a carousel now. I went in the other day to learn more about extensions for this panel, and I was like, oh my God, they actually organized it a little bit better. So I think it can go even a step further. Yeah. Sorry, I got a marketing background. I think it could go a step further, and that would probably speak more to me, because I think there's great extensions out there, but they're not really us friendly,
There's sort of two things. I'll try not to go too deep here. So if you think about Twitch, if you think about even Justin TV, it was video, and then it was the addition of the chat, right? When you look beyond that, and you look at the evolution of what happened in that video player, I remember those days where someone added a webcam and someone went like, that's really stupid. Like, who wants to look at someone's face? Well, guess what? If you fire up a stream, 99% of them have a webcam, right? And we've seen these sort of evolutions. The same thing can be said for a follow alert. The same thing can be said for a sub alert. So to me, extensions is sort of that next piece that is truly what makes Twitch special, right? We have the video, we have the chat, and then the extensions. And so within that, what I'm really looking for a lot of times is, again, solving problems that haven't been solved yet. For me personally, one of the big problems we have producing content here at TwitchCon was like, how do you get people to not leave when you have to have downtime for an hour, right? So that's why we built Galactic Disagreements, is sort of like just keep people engaged, right? And the problem was, how do you get people to not leave the stream? And the solution was give them something to interact with. So as I look more and more at the content that is being made by individual streamers, a great example is like the D&D shows. So I watch these Dungeons and Dragons shows, which obviously they have 5 or 6 people on them. And there's this sort of tradition that happens at the end of every show, and that is that every player gives a shout out. They're like, hi, I'm Marcus, here's my channel, this is my Twitter, etc. And to me, it was obvious there was a problem there, is that there is no organic way for me as a viewer to actually follow that person. So to solve that problem, it would make sense to put a transparent follow button over their face, and then build into sort of the narrative is like, hey, you can click on my face and then you're following me on Twitch. So a lot of what I'm using extensions for is to say, here are the 10 biggest problems I have as a streamer or as a content producer, and what extensions out there are making my job easier, or making it easier for my chat to, or audience to help me do my job easier, or things that can say, wow, this took me an hour before and now it takes me 5 minutes. And I know that's a very hard scope to kind of really hone in on. But I think what I want people to walk away with after hearing all that is that the solutions are in the minds of these people up here, right? Really understanding what problems streamers have. And I've found that not asking them, what do you need built, but rather, what are the problems, or what are the things that you need solved as a streamer? And then suddenly you start to see oh wow, extensions can open up a lot of things. It's a great way to get ideas.
Well, I was going to come to that topic later, but since you've kicked it right out there, one of the things we're going to discuss is what problems, what couple problems do each of you feel you have that you wish there was a solution for? So we gave the game developer some love. For the tool builders, what tools do you wish you had in Magic World? What would an extension do for your stream?
Well, I already covered the one, which is the giveaway or some sort of way to choose somebody from chat for whatever XYZ so that we can reduce the amount of spam that goes into chat. I also would like to see a little bit more control over the overlays. It would be nice to see if we turned on an extension that was an overlay, that I also then had companion overlay stuff that I could actually run in my OBS or XSplit or whatever my broadcasting software is, so that I could then have a little bit more control over how that looks and behaves on the screen. So basically, you turn the layout on and it covers the entire thing of your stream, and then you have much more flexibility on the back end side to decide when and how things get turned on. So when then stuff happens, if I've got a particular piece of information that I don't want to get covered up by the extension, I'd like to be able to have control over where that extension happens on the screen. So that's one of the problems, one of the reasons why I haven't run some of the overlays that cover up, because it's literally messing with my UI that I spent a lot of time and energy making look a certain way, and now I have this thing like smack dab in somebody's face because there's a webcam there, or et cetera, and there's no way for me to move it. So having some control over how those things work would be really useful. And any sort of interaction that allows me to reduce the amount of spam that's in chat is a huge one. Giveaways is the easy one, but there's quite a few different scenarios too, where if there was a panel that was down there below, and I would really like a way for panels to be, if you clicked on it, that could come up and be like a little window or something off to the side, so that you don't have to have the screen, the actual stream off of the panel. You'd actually, and I don't know if that's a dev thing or if that's a Twitch thing.
Some of the stuff you're talking about is definitely on us, but that's okay. I almost interrupted you. You say, please stop talking about our future roadmap.
Okay.
But that's totally awesome, because it validates the whole developer experience team is here in the audience and in the halls outside, and so you're talking right to the folks who can help you.
Sorry to make more work for you.
No, it's the right work. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that those were very good points, actually. To leapfrog off that, for some of the overlay extensions, I'm not able to see what it's like for the viewer until I start the stream, and that's obviously too late to do troubleshooting. So I've had to make secondary accounts where I can do a test stream to then put it on my actual account, which feels like redundant.
Okay.
On something that Marcus brought up earlier about the loading in subscribers, I think that's actually probably my number 2 biggest request. In that, in the example of this Pokemon server or Pixelmon server that I talked about earlier, we wanted to launch it so our subscribers could join, but to do that, we had to do so many different steps that seemed totally asinine, where we had to make a website that people could fill out a form that would connect their Discord and Twitch, so we could verify they were subscribed via Discord rather than just simply going through a Twitch list of subscribers. And there's ways that can be simplified for sure. So I think a lot of streamers want to be able to play and engage with their viewers, but because we either have way too many, or if we were to do that, it would spiral out of control too fast. More ways for us to control who we let in via a lottery, via only subscriber tier 1s, tier 2, tier 3s, having more ability to communicate with these different tiers, I think would go a long way.
Yeah, I'd jump in just thinking about that from what we know. Realize we have streamers who have an audience of 5, and we have streamers who have an audience of 50,000. And when you're building an interactive tool, whether it's as a game developer or a tool for the streamer, you need to think about how that works with both 5 people, so it's not crickets, and 50,000, so it's not overwhelming. And we realize that's a very hard challenge.
My goodness.
And so from a design viewpoint, we rely on you, but at least we can surface that challenge. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think right off the bat, that's the question, what's the perfect extension? And my advice is go look at 1,000 different channels and look at the panels that streamers are creating. I know myself and many other streamers, we have 87 and a half links that everybody wants to know. They want to know your social media, your sponsors. So if there was even some sort of Rolodex of oh, I want her Twitter link, and there it is. And instead of having 85 commands, and the same thing with sponsors. Everybody has 8 sponsors and their mom, and they're okay, how do I give everyone space and not clutter up all my panels so my extension is 18 feet down? Having maybe a Rolodex for my sponsors, I think would be great. All user friendly, because I honestly I change my games enough that I don't have the patience or time to change my extension too. My getting ready for the stream list is already super long. I don't want to add another thing. So.
Well, another great prompt. One of the things we've found works really well is looking at what streamers are already doing, which I think is what Shadowfox is suggesting. If you're looking for the right idea or how to improve an extension you already have,